Stupid fucking cat. What up, guys? Welcome back. We have a Bandito tale, which you can't see me. Get out of the way, Bandito. We're doing a book club, guys. I got my good friend, Mr. Miles Palacios. Did I say it right?
You said it right. We're getting better.
For the first time in 2 years, I've said his name right. This is getting amazing. But guys, we're going to be doing a book club tonight. Where we are going to be doing book clubs. We have been doing book clubs, but we're going to be studying How to Build a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I'm going to be putting the link both in YouTube and into Facebook. So if you guys want to join in and talk and kind of come along with us and kind of go through this journey with us, we'd love to have you guys because it is just a book that is incredible. But Miles, enough about me. Tell everyone a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, where you do it, how you do it, when you do it, all that good stuff.
Okay. Before we get started, there's so much going on. My heart and my mind is probably on what's going on throughout the nation. So part of me is excited to be doing this book club, and the other part of me is sad by kind of everything that's going on. But a little bit about me. I'm in mortgage here in the Bay Area. Greg and I have worked together a few different times now. And also I'm trying to build a little bit more of a story on my new YouTube channel. So for me, this is really important because I need to tell better stories and get people to actually buy in. I think that's what all salespeople are kind of looking for.
Miles. Dude, I just went over to YouTube and I took a look at the fingernail of what they captured. It was my face blurred out, Bandito's tail right there, and you're looking over like, eh? Like the best YouTube thumbnail ever. So Miles, tell us a little bit about the book that so we went through chapters 1 and 2 last week, and now we're doing it this week. What is the book, and kind of what have you gotten out of it thus far?
So for me, there's two things that I'm trying to get out of it, and two things that they're kind of talking about together as one message. One of them being about a story, how to build a story, how to tell a story. If we go a little bit deeper into that and a little closer, it's about how to build a brand. So for me, it's not only about the story, how to build one, how to look for one, how to get engagement, how do I connect with people? Because sometimes I have good information, but how do I capture people for them to feel what I'm feeling and my passion? But at the same time, branding. Mm-hmm. How do you brand to kind of capture that in a quick, easy way? So far, we're 4 chapters in.
4 chapters deep, correct.
Yep. So 4 chapters deep. We just started getting into each one of the frameworks, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
All right, so let's do this. Let's lead off. Why don't you start us off with chapter 3, guys? Chapter 3, if you've never read the book, chapter 3 is the simple SB7 framework. So, Miles, tell us a little bit about the SB7 framework. Let's talk about the characters and kind of how this whole process works.
Okay, so there is a framework that a story goes through. Number 1 is the character. Number 2 is that character has a problem. Mm-hmm. And at some point, number 3, he meets a guide. Number 4 is kind of a call to action. No, I'm sorry. He comes up with a plan.
Yep.
And then number 5 is call to action. Number 6 is avoid failure. And number 7 is never assume, kind of what's the outcome of it. So that's kind of the framework of every story, at least that's the way they describe it. So for chapter 3, they go into a little bit more detail. So for instance, number 1, the one thing that I really got out of the first character of the framework is the customer is a hero. Mm-hmm. So it's not always about us. So they make a cool example of, we're Yoda, and the customer is Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
Which I thought was pretty interesting. And
then, I was talking with a business partner of mine a few minutes ago before we got on this, and he and I were talking about some of the stuff that we're going to be launching out. And I said, "Hey, Jake, have you ever noticed to the fact that real estate agents, mortgage brokers, most people, when they go out there and they're going to talk to someone about what they do, how they do what they do, it's always me, I, focus your attention on me. And the human psyche is built in reverse. So Miles, your favorite story is you. My favorite story is me. And that's the thing that I took away from this book in this chapter, is the fact that once you started to make, and I told Jake this because we're gonna launch a big old campaign. It's gonna be absolutely, dude, I'm gonna bring you in on the loop on this thing, because it's next level fucking ninja genius, shit. That's fucking awesome. By the way, dude, check this out. Last week we sent out 3 text messages, campaigns out to these different groups. I just secured a $1.785 million listing, and I've never met the client one time using this program.
Wow.
So
I know you sent it out because I got your text messages.
I know. I text you all the time with no responses.
I was like, he's asking me.
So she can make a decision, because she and I have never met, but it was all about her timing, her decision, her wants, her needs, fill in the blank. And I think it really resonated with her to be the hero, to be the star of the show, not for me to be the star of the show. And agents have always said, look at me, I've sold I've sold this many hundreds or thousands of homes. I've done this much in GCI. Look at me, I have such a big team. Ain't nobody give a fuck about that. All right.
So true. It's so true. Especially now you go on Instagram, it's more about, let me stand in front of this building and look down, or let me stand in front of this car. I think you're absolutely right. It's not all about that. It's not about that.
And it's not. I mean, but I've been doing it wrong for 20 years. That's what we thought we were supposed to do. But I mean, we talked about last week that when the consumer, when we're talking to a consumer and they say, what do you do? And we're like, well, my team's number one. I've sold, a couple thousand homes. My GCI last year was $100 million, and we're number one in the area. And I don't even wipe my butt because I'm so awesome. And everyone was just like, oh yeah, I don't care about you. That didn't help my problem at all.
I've heard of scenarios in our industry, real estate and mortgage, where the common belief is the person's gonna give us an idea what they want, but we're gonna kind of push them. Hey, this is a good deal. You need to get this house. And I think it needs to be a little bit more. What are you looking for? What's the most important thing for you? What's gonna help? Where are you in your life? One of the questions that I always ask in mortgages is, how long do you want to be in the house? Mm-hmm. It's not that big of a deal of a question, but it makes a difference on what type of loan we put.
Miles, we just lost your audio 100%.
Cut off there for a minute.
There you are. You're back.
Yeah, sorry. So anyways, I think for me, when I was kind of reading this portion about making them the hero, I just thought more about really getting to the crux of them. What's the most important thing for them? Monthly payment, down payment. What is it?
Exactly. You got to identify what makes them feel invited into the story you're going to tell, right?
Yes.
Now, that's our step 1, the character. Now, 2 that you mentioned in the beginning of this video is a problem. So walk me through that a little bit in regards to, in mortgages or in real estate, what's a problem that could develop?
Well, it depends for purchase or refinance. So there are 2 different ones. A problem is, hey, my rent's going up next week, or my landlord keeps increasing my rent, or I'm getting kicked out. Something like that could be a problem on purchasing. Mm-hmm. Refinancing could be my payment's too high, or I'm paying mortgage insurance. So for us, at least the book described 3 different problems: internal, external, and philosophical.
Yep.
And it really talked about customers want you to create, solve their internal problems. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. I'm not sure if you got the full meaning of it.
Yeah, so that one resonated with me quite a bit. So the whole thing is this. Look, we sell external problems. We sell, you lost a job, had a baby, you need to make a move, job transfer, whatever. That's an external problem. The internal problem is going to be, oh my God, I'm freaking out. My wife just told me that we're having another baby and we don't have this space. Holy fuck, what do we do? Or, the internal problem is, like, I talked with a gentleman the other day, and, his father just passed away. And so he's dealing with an internal problem with the pain of losing his father, which is incredibly sad. But his external problem is having to unload his father's estate. So people look at the external, but we sell the internal, right? And that's where, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, is that as long as we can connect with folks and we can really drill deep with them and we can ask enough questions to figure out what that root issue is, then we'll be able to sell the external. Because they don't really give a fuck if it's 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. Just sell my house. I got to sell this house. I got to move to Minneapolis. Let's go. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the distinguishing difference that I saw with it. And a lot of, again, it's also, don't sell the solution. Don't sell just an external solution to like, oh, well, I can get this 4-bedroom home sold for you. Sell the internal solution of, help me understand what this means to you when you sell this home. Well, what it means to me is that I can be out from underneath this mortgage, or I don't have to deal with my ex-husband or wife, or whatever that's going to be. That's when you get them. That's when you get to solve a problem, right then and there. Because now you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I think those are really good examples of internal problems that people have. Mine are similar, except just depending on the purchase or refi. I run into a lot of people that, it's sad, but at least right now, people are living with a lot of debt. Mm-hmm. And they can't make the monthly payments. They can't make the minimum payments. And how do we help them sort that out? Because California is great in the fact that we have great values and it appreciates a lot. But that money's stuck there unless you do something with it. So how do we finagle things to make it work for them? So that's a good one.
And that's a perfect segue into our next portion of chapter 3, and that's going to be they meet a guide. And like what you talked about before, you and I, everyone, and our real estate agents and mortgage brokers and everyone else has always done it to the fact that we are the heroes. Look at us, look how cool we are, yada yada. But in reality, as we talked about before, they are the hero of the story. We are the guides. We are Yoda. We are, the person that's going to walk you through the landmine field of loans and real estate, and we're going to show you the way. We can be blindfolded and you're still going to make it through. Have you met guides in your life? Have you seen guides that when you looked at this book and you read this book, you're like, oh my God, like that person is the guide for me?
I think that you need someone to help guide you or mentor you. I call them mentors. Mm-hmm. Through whatever you're trying to do. For me, my mentor, his name is David. So if he's watching, shout out. But what up? He's the one that I love rental real estate. I bought 5 properties in 4 years here in the Bay Area. And I would not have even done one without him. I've always been interested in rental real estate. I've always been in it. But you don't really know what to look for. But you need someone there to kind of guide you. And for me, it's not only guide, because sometimes you can read a book or you can watch a video, but sometimes you need that person to look it over and say, dude, that's a great deal. You should do it. To kind of like not push you off the ledge, but give you that extra ability to take a step. So for me, I've been lucky to have that, and I wouldn't be where I was without one. So for this one, it resonated with me because I've had that. I've been lucky, and it's what I think people need to look out for. If you need help with something, whether it's forget rental real estate, but in our industry, it always helps when you're a brand new agent. You study for the test, you take the test, you pass. 100 companies send you letters to try to join their brokerage, but then it's like, all right, figure it out. And it's like you need someone or a team in order to teach you the right way to do it. So I think it's imperative.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I mean, and the other thing is the fact that like people don't have time to read your story, right? But we always think it's so important for us to put out our story. They just need a guide or a mentor or a leader or fill in the blank for their own story. Like you give credit to your mentor, to your guide, for helping you buy 5 real estate investment properties in the last 4 years. That is a huge thing. Now, David probably didn't sell you on how awesome he was. He's like, okay, what's your well, let me help you along your path, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. That's
we
so
get-
true.
but then at that point, the next step is that there's a plan, right?
Yep.
And clients trust guides who have plans, who inform them to get the job done. And I mean, give me some experience on that really quickly, because I mean, when it comes to folks, and this could be life, it could be in any scenario in life, but when you're out there and you find the hero, your client, and then you try to sell them on you bad, and you don't listen to them, even worse, then they're going to check out.
I think for a plan is what I try to do when I talk to a new client is I try to I usually have a process where I have an initial talk with them, figure out exactly what they're looking for. I don't know if they qualify because they haven't sent me paperwork yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to explain a plan for the person buying. I try to say, okay, next step, I figured out kind of what you're about, what you're looking for. I have an idea who you are. Send me your paperwork. When I get everything, I think for this, it's options. People want options. Do I want to put more down payment? Do I put less down payment? Do I higher monthly payment? Of course, nobody wants both a higher down payment and a higher monthly payment.
I do.
So you kind of figure out what makes them tick. And then you can present the options. I usually present them in a way where they can see them next to each other. Like, here's your down payment, here's your closing costs, here's your monthly payment. And once they see all that, they can decide from those two plans which one is best for them and their family. So for me, just making the client the hero in that regard, that's how I'm kind of looking at it. My plan is to give them options, and then from there they choose. And they'll ask me for guidance, kind of going back to the guide above. But, you know, these options are out here for you. Which one do you want to do?
I think for the folks that are listening to this right now live, or when you guys are going to watch it later, I think the biggest thing is that when you guys start thinking about this, what we're talking about when it comes to a plan, it's and Miles did a great job of explaining it right there. But for real estate, it's going to be your pre-listing packet. It's going to be working with buyers and giving them the heads up in regards to the different documents that you'll be dealing with and signing, and everything else. Throughout the transactions, additional information about the area. It's about having that human being that you actually could rely on, you want to hang out with, that like you feel like when it comes to like a interpersonal relationship, your partner, there's always going to be a little bit of rustling around and fighting because you're two individuals with different personalities, but there has to be some level of trust that you're going to be able to help the other side get where they need to go. So make sure you build that plan up so that people, when they're leaning on you, you won't topple over like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's, from your viewpoint, that makes total sense.
Okay.
Especially for realtors.
So what's our next part of chapter 3 here?
Okay, so number 5 is call to action.
Yes, 5. Sorry, got lost on that. I'm like,
no worries. This one's interesting. I guess for me, just thinking about it, call to action, what's going to make someone buy was my initial thought when I first read this. Now, there's going to go more into detail later in the book about what this one specifically means. But the way I read it was, without a challenge, they won't buy. Like, if you don't challenge them on something, they're not necessarily going to buy. So for me, one of the things that I do, especially for refi clients, is more, or even let's say purchase clients. A lot of people, especially right now, will say, should I wait to buy until the rates are lower next year or later in the year? And I'm like, the rates could be higher. We have no idea. Why would you even wait? It could be higher price. It could be higher rates. We have no idea. So for me, I always try to say, guys, it's about when you're ready. So that's the way I kind of thought about it, was making sure and reinforcing the idea that nobody's here to time the market. It could get worse. If it gets worse, are you even going to be interested?
Exactly. I mean, but excuse me. People don't take action unless they're told to. And they will sit there and consume and consume and consume and consume and consume your time, knowledge, and energy. But if you don't tell them to take a direct course of action, then they're just not going to do it, because they're sitting there just suckling on the teat. And that's no sexual derogatory comment. That's just a funny saying. But I mean, but they're sitting there and they're just suckling away because you're just giving everything away for free. You know, you've got to be able to understand the fact that because people only know what you tell them. If you tell them, go to this website, you know, contact me here, do this. It's not like, hey, here are my 15 different websites, my 20 different social media, my 75 different, you know, modes of communication. People are going to be like, that's too much information.
I've used the same line forever because it's 100% true, and it's happened to me all the time. I can't tell you how many people said the market's too high in 2016, 17, 18, 19, and even 20. And it's like, okay, everybody who waited a long time ago is now paying way more than they were back then, and you just don't know. So I always thought that was interesting for kind of a call to action thing. Like, guys, I've been hearing this for a long time. Just if you're ready financially, if you're ready for your family, let's do this. And you got to move quick.
Exactly. My last several clients, you know, there's been a very big, you know, fire under the rear end. So they were taking action. You know, the 1.785 million property I took under contract today. You know what? I've never met her in my entire life. And the only thing that I identified and I helped her with is that I made her laugh a little bit. She was super, super kind to me. And you know what? She just doesn't want the property anymore. And so we figured out a plan and we took action. That was what the distinguishing difference is. We figured out a plan, we took action, and I just told her today, I'm like, great, sounds like we have everything figured out. The only thing we have left to do is take care of the paperwork. I'll have it be sent over. Give me your best email. She's like, okay. Because she felt safe and comfortable. And that's what clients, partners in life, that's what people are looking for, male or female, is a certain level of security, certain level of trust, certain level of understanding that, like, if something goes a little awry, then your partner is going to have your back, or your real estate agent or mortgage broker is going to have your back. You know, small.
I think that's so important. I think I find it to be one of the best feelings when the past client comes back to you.
Oh yeah.
And I think I keep like analytics, and I have like 37% of my business comes from past clients. But it's such a good feeling, even if you don't reach out as much as you should. I don't do that because you know before they had that trust in you, and then they felt good about how you had their best interest. So they're going to come back, at least to you first. Such a good feeling.
Funny story about that, actually. I was hit up a week or so ago by a gal. Her name is Vicky. Not going to give her last name out for her own protection. But no, she's a past client of mine, and I haven't physically talked to her in 10, 12 years. I helped her buy a place up here, and then she sold it and had to move down to LA to be with her father, who was aging. But she hit me up the other day and goes, "Hey, Greg, it's Vicky." I'm like, "Oh my God, how are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I've been great," and this, that, and everything. And, you know, my dad passed, and long story. And she's like, "You know what? The reason I contacted you is because I've been getting all the videos you keep sending out every other week. I love them. And I've been meaning to reach out to you." And so it's because there was a plan, there was a history, there was a level of trust and everything else that I got it. And she's like, "Oh, I want to buy $1 million house." I'm like, "Okay, cool.
Great.
I'll take it. I love you. Appreciate it."
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Well, you're putting out a lot of content, so that's another important thing.
I put a fuck ton of content out there. Holy mackerel. That's a side subject on that one. Any other thoughts before we move on to our next action area here?
Well, it kind of leads into this one, which is avoid failure. So for me, I got out of this one showing the cost of not doing anything. And I think that's super important for what we do. And I think there's a fine line between scaring the hell out of someone versus actually showing them what could or possibly might happen. So for us, I mean, truth is, rents have only really gone down once in the last like 30 years. And if someone's buying for the first time and they're renting, they're always going to be in this cycle of not having control. I like having control of my own life. So for one of the things that I try to do is you compare what the cost of owning a home is to what your rents are going to be over time. So for me, it's the cost of not doing much or not doing anything.
Yeah. So what you're saying is if there's nothing at stake, then there's nothing gained or nothing lost. So it doesn't matter, right? So if you have a renter who is sitting on a property and they're like, oh, I'm so comfortable here. And you're like, I understand that you're comfortable. I get that you're comfortable, but do you understand what you're losing? And then you show them the charts of the equity gain and up and down. All of a sudden, you're like, dude, you can still live the same comfortable lifestyle, but in a property where you're gaining versus losing, and then ask them to take an action because you've shown them a problem. Now you came up with a solution, and you're helping them in something that's not a self-benefiting thing for yourself. It's a benefiting thing for the client, for that family. You know, you can say, hey, Miles, you and your fake wife and fake kids, you have 3 kiddos and you got to put them through school. I mean, how are you going to pay for college? I don't know. Okay, well, I can show you a path on how to buy a home and then help you buy an investment property. I have a good friend of mine that bought 5. Well, you can say it for yourself. I bought 5 properties in the last 4 years. Let me show you my path that I can show you how to do it. It's like the Indiana Jones movie when he's at that crevasse and he couldn't see a way across it, right? And so what he went back and grabbed a handful of sand, threw the sand where he thought his dad was going to say where the invisible bridge was. All of a sudden, the bridge appeared. And that's what we do as real estate and mortgage professionals. We take the sand, we throw it on the invisible bridge to the other side. Hey guys, that's the path you need to take. I'm going to get you to where you want to be. Yeah,
I like that. I like that. I was going to tell a story about and this doesn't work for everyone, but I had a client that got in contract like a few days before this coronavirus shutdown here in California happened, and it was a 30-day escrow. Mm-hmm. And right when that hit was right when we had the initial boom for all the refis. So every bank was just scrambling. And they were nervous because he worked at a brewery and his Greg, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I think just pause for dramatic effect or something.
No. So 5 of his coworkers got laid off, and he was nervous, and I wasn't sure where they were going to go through, but their mortgage payment ended up being less than what they were currently paying in rent. So for them, it would have made sense no matter what to move in because it would have been affordable for them or more affordable. So I think for them, their cost of not doing it would have been higher. And you just don't know what someone's situation is. So whether it's sales and you're trying to find the pain point or just in general, trying to illuminate for them how much more benefit they can get. I mean, when we think about most of the homeowners here in California, let's be honest, they're mostly older people, older generations. How about that? That's because they've been in their homes for a long time and there's equity and there's all this stuff, but that's because they got in the game. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes that you got to push.
I agree with you on that one. All right, and the last part of this of chapter 3, before we jump into chapter 4, is that the ending is success. Never assume folks, understand how your business can change their lives. You have to tell them, guys. You have to explain why you are going to be the catalyst or the vessel, I might say, the vessel to bring them to where they want to be in their lives. Because like the gal that I listed today, the reason why she signed up is because I'm a local agent. I know the market. She doesn't have to deal with the stress of driving up and down and back and forth and everything else. She can just consistently just do her and I can do me. And that's what she was looking for. And so I showed her success at the end of the rainbow by not having to put more undue pressure on her.
I think sometimes what you guys do way better than we do. And I only know this because for the first time in my career, I have a client that's asking me what I think of every property. I'm like, dude, you're living there, not me. So I'm kind of I'm giving them sort of advice, but not really. But I think what you guys do is kind of show the picture for them what their life is going to look like in the house, in the area. That is something where I think we want to show them where we're taking them, what it's going to look like. Me and this guy are talking about commutes, about neighborhoods. Not something I do or I feel that comfortable with, but we're talking about how he's going to host people and do all that stuff, and we're just going to put everything. So I think for us, where we're going to take them, I kind of looked at it as this is what it's going to look like when it's all over. So all this work that we're doing, your character, your have a problem, call to action, it's all going to lead to this picture of what your life's going to look like when you actually buy.
I like it. All right, so here's a question for you. So we've covered chapter 3. Do we want to jump into chapter 4? Because we've been on air for about 31 minutes. Or do we want to jump into chapter 4 next week where we can go a little bit deeper with them? What are your thoughts?
I think the chapter 4 is similar to what we already talked about so for those of you who don't know, chapter 3 was about breaking down the framework step by step, kind of a bird's eye overview. In chapter 4, they start to go into each one individually. So chapter 4 is all about character. So we kind of went through it, but I actually think it would be good next week just to go through it by itself.
Okay, let's do that because I think there's a lot of meat on that bone. So if you guys like this, give us a share, give us a like, give us a little thumbs up here and there. And then for Miles, one more time for the folks that joined us a little bit later in this broadcast or are watching on the replay, who are you? What do you do? How can they reach out to you if they have any questions, thoughts, or theories?
So my name is Miles. You can see it on there, Palacios. If you need to reach me, my number is 925-360-8136. And you can reach me on an email if you'd like at miles@smileynest.com.
There it is, guys. There's your reach out. You guys know how to get a hold of me. If you don't, then you have not been paying attention for the last 5+ years. Okay, so guys, there it is. Have a rock star afternoon, after evening. There's no after evenings. There's a rock star afternoon and evening. But Miles, I appreciate your insight. Appreciate your time. Reach out to him, guys. If you guys want a legendary lender, he's the guy for you 100%. So, all right, Miles, appreciate it, brother. You guys have a wonderful evening. Talk soon. Bye.
Thank you.